Okay, I think we can get going. Welcome everyone to the VERSeFest Invitational Slam for 2021. We are online again this year for the second year in a row, hopefully for the last time, though we are taking advantage of being online to bring in some faces who are important to Ottawa, but not currently local. I'm going to run over a few things first because you never know when somebody is coming to their first slam who have not been to a slam before. Poetry slam, well, actually, let me back up. Slam poetry, you may have heard of slam poetry. Slam poetry does not exist. Let's start with that right off. There is no such thing as slam poetry. What there is poetry slam, which is a competitive event where poets come up, share their work, they get judged. We'll get into how that works in a second, but they get judged and then they take home all the laurels and accolades, whether they win or not, because they're all amazing. They're all amazing. I do want to start with saying, my name is Rusty Prisk. Those of you who don't know me, I am the host. I used to help run a show called Capital Slam, and I still work for Art Poetry Magazine and do many other things. I'm not in Ottawa. I'm one of those who moved away during the pandemic. I'm streaming from Spencerville, Ontario, the bustling metropolis of Spencerville, which is also a traditional home to both the Algonquin and Haudenosaunee peoples, as well as some others. And I feel very grateful to be able to live and be and work on this land. We have tonight 8 slam poets. You're going to hear first a sacrificial poet. I'll explain that. And then you're going to hear 8 poets coming up and doing their thing, sharing their words. And then we're going to have a really, really special feature. I'll tell you, ever since they asked me to start hosting this show, it must be 6 years now, five or 6 years I've been hosting this slam. The thing I like the most about it is that because it's an invitational slam, I get to go and pick people and invite people and share different voices and bring people that you may have heard before, you may not have heard before, a nice mix of poets. Well, sometimes that also extends to the feature, and this was one of those years where the organizers of VERSeFest asked me who I would like to see a feature at the show, and I thought of someone almost immediately because recently I'd been asked a question, who was my favorite poet in Montreal? Now that's a big question. I don't know if favorite is the right thing, because there's so many great poets, and I have so many poet friends from Montreal. But I thought back to when the Canadian Festival of Spoken Word was in Montreal, and I was there with one of the teams from Ottawa, and I was also helping to run the event. And I went to a feature show during the festival, and one of the people who came up was a name that I was not familiar with. I knew I had heard of the Community Collective before, and I may have heard the name before, but when they announced Jason and Blackbird Selman, I didn't know what I was going to get, and what I ended up with is walking away from the festival saying that I had heard someone that had changed the way I was looking at poetry at that particular time. I mean, at one of these festivals, you see so many poets and so many poems, and this one really stuck out, and I wasn't expecting it at the time. And I don't think I've heard him since then. So it was just one of those things that it just stuck in my brain that I would really like to see him again. So I get the opportunity to do that, and I get the opportunity to share him with everyone in this show. Okay, so the format of the show. As I say, we're going to have a sacrificial poet. Those who don't know what that means, it's a practice run. It's a way for the judges to have a dry run to see how they're going to be judging on the night. It's also in this night, it's a way to kind of get our technical bearings down, just in case things don't run perfectly. I don't mean on the broadcast. I have full faith. I just mean there's going to be a system where the judges are sending their scores to our scorekeeper and timekeeper, who I will introduce shortly. So we're going to have that sacrificial poet, and then we're going to have all 8 competing poets, and then we're going to have the feature, and then the 4 poets from the first round who garnered the highest scores in the first round will come back, do another poem, and then we're going to add those scores together, the first round scores and the second round scores, and we're going to end up with a winner. So there are some people I would like to introduce before. I've mentioned the judges. Normally in a slam, I am a fan of the traditional method of picking judges, which is wander through the crowd and pick people at random to represent the audience. That is much tougher to do on an online event. So for this event, I have contacted some people who know poetry and people who I trust are going to do a good job, and asked them to come and judge for us. So we have the publisher of Right Bloody North, Brad Morden, is one of the judges. We have the proprietor of Curious and Kind out in Almont, and a member of the Verse Ottawa Hall of Honor, Danielle K.L. Gregoire, is one of our judges. We have an amazing poet and organizer around Ottawa who is involved in the Sawdust reading series, and used to be involved with Arc magazine, and a name you'll just know if you're around Ottawa at all. That's Natalie Hanna as a judge. The 4th judge is an editor from Arc Poetry magazine. That's Nancy Jo Cullen. And also a very talented person that I really enjoy working with on a regular basis there. And the last one, I kind of have we'll say a wild card pick, because we often joke in the slam community that slam's a mixture of poetry and sports. And so I've brought in a high school friend of mine who is one of my dear friends, who happens to be a sports writer. So he's Jason Lake is going to be one of the judges. So those 5 judges are going to be assigning scores to poems. They're going to be deciding the fate of these poets. That they will decide who is going to go on to fame and fortune, and who will fade away into, no, I'm just kidding. These poets are all wonderful, and I can't wait to hear all of them. They're going to be sending their scores to my scorekeeper and timekeeper, someone who has been my scorekeeper and timekeeper for quite some time, because she's just the best at it and is very convenient since we live in the same house. So that would be Ruth Ann Edward, who is now going to stick her face in the camera and say, everyone say hi to Ruth Ann. There we go. Yes. All right, so I think I've said enough time. I was dragging this out just a little to make sure any stragglers who wanted to get in, and I didn't want anyone to miss any of the poems. So we're gonna kick off here. So as I said, we're gonna start with the sacrificial poet. The sacrificial poet this evening is someone else that I have enjoyed working with at ARC. Please, I was going to say, please welcome, as if you can clap. You can't clap, but I mean, you can clap in your own homes. I encourage you to, keep things on mute, because it gets sort of chaotic, but clap anyway, just clap. So like this, I'll show you. Quiet clapping. There we go. So please welcome our sacrificial poet, Manahil.
Hello. And I will start. Santo for day 524. After Ashley Hind. 1. This is how you started, waiting for fire like the earth. Yourself, the moon in the heart, lingering inches from our cookie cutter aching, as if unaware I could love you and I could tell you, love comes into your life as a whisper under a cup of coffee. 2. By the bed, the distance collapses. A man with a gentle heart stoking logs, a man's fingers gently circling sun around lips as softly and quietly as if lullaby. Moonstone glistening in the waters close to his body, hands careful, tenderly circling this island. 3. In the end, we're all just bodies. You stop and breathe over fire-brushed thunder, goosebumps over body, your breath beneath breast in the release. You hold your heart so close to your chest. I say trust. Pour it into tiny glass jars. 4. All the ways he could fit there. His eyes 2 pebbles, his navel the budding morning light, his heart the tickle of tiny paws, his hand fearing shadow, his text message full, his peach fuzz undercut, his body rolling across time like roses blossoming. 5. Darling, see how each touch leaves old patterns in the curl of your hair like wet stones underwater, a lake waiting in your body, rippling calm. This divided bay bossed the fuzz off. I love you like 2 brown coffee mugs forged to fit a hand. 6. She can fly freely in the count of his ribcage, her wings forging demigods, her home precipice breaking open, her back, sunflower footnotes scabbed over, her heart held in the midst of his breath, her soft knowing sediment in the glass. 7. Your own ribcage, 1,000 autobiographies, editing that poem of sadness between your body and your shadow. I am holding you here in this place where everything is a wanting. You can sleep here like a tiny sparrow expanding. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful way to start things off for the slam. As they say, my favorite part is getting to pick and choose who I get to bring on the show. Yeah, no, it was lovely. Well, wait, I'm not supposed to say that. Well, you're not a competitor. You know, I don't want to influence the judges. All right, what's happening now? Of course, for those in the judges are sending their scores to Ruth Ann. If you've been to a slam before, there is another thing that's going to be slightly different here, and that is we're not going to be reading out the scores as we go. That is, you know, an exciting part of the slam, but I find it really takes away from the live stream to stop everything and start reading out numbers. So what we do for this show is Ruth Ann is there and taking the numbers down and tabulating away. So did she get a time penalty? Yeah. Manahil got a time penalty. It doesn't matter for the SAC poet, of course, but for the other poets, be aware. we will let you know who's going on to the second round after the feature before we go into the second round. But really, it's about the poetry, and I think we were all entertained and inspired and enjoyed the poetry. So what I'm going to now is, in front of me, I have my toque. In the toque, I've got 8 pieces of paper. Each one has a name written on it of one of tonight's competitors. So they don't know who goes first. I don't know. No one knows. I don't know who goes first. The only one who knows is the hat, because the hat will probably pick and choose the way the hat wants. So who does the hat want to see first? Who are we? Well, I mean, first among the competitors. Let's find out. So first up in the first round of the VERSeFest Invitational Slam is Poetiquette.
Classic. The experience of life is an emotional rainbow. Angry, hot lava or rose petals, red like strawberry-stained lips, lipstick-stained skin, sin, slippery silk and satin, velvet cushions and pushpins, devil's blush and crushed roses, exposed, loud, proud, furious moments. The peel of an orange, hopeful and free, hungry for justice, for equality and peace, and butterfly wings, their number in millions, find their way home. Nature is resilience. Duck's feet, birds' beaks, Nemo's family, a candle's flame in a pumpkin, a pile of leaves to jump in. Sunshine flaring a camera's lens, a buttercup and a dandelion. Friends, a smiling face, a sense of place, melted butter and sunny side eggs, baby kisses among the clouds, from pollen to honey, bees and their busy sounds. Happy, cozy, bright, warm, silver linings and good tidings. But bitter jealousy is like green apple skin, sweet, tart, and tough. Vines that creep and climb, that choke, snakeskin and flickering tongues, molds and moss spread, bonds undone. Emerald eyes, eerie skies, endless wandering under watchful eyes, paranoia and surprise. The obscurity of thought under weighted lies like the depth of ocean, undercurrents of desperation. Walls of water form a depressive prison. Raindrops like tears cloud vision. Crushed, a robin's egg, gas burning a low flame. Better with time like a fine wine. Recovery and restoration, sweet and sticky fig skin, windew's saber, the fruits of labor, a violet's bloom, a humble tune. All the colors I feel you see. When you view the world, you know me.
Thank you so much, Satinka, the first poet in the first round of the VERSeFest Invitational Slam. Even though we aren't going to be reading out the scores, I do. This is my stalling moment, so the judges can get their scores in and don't have to be writing down scores while they're trying to listen to the next poem. So everyone enjoying the pandemic so far? No, just kidding. Yeah, so we moved. So as I said, we're not in Ottawa anymore. So I do like, I used to have a nice background. I used to have a bookshelves behind me with all my poetry books in it. Now it's just a bare wall. I should do something about that. But let's go. Let's go on to poet number 2 in the first round. Who is it gonna be? Out of my magic hat, the magic hat wants to see Namitha.
My hands are blistered from the scalding heat of holding everything that has only ever wanted to burn me. As I watch myself run these tendered palms under the cold stream and see the way that kindness to myself heals me, my singed fist now a soft and open hand, I now know the warmth of strangers was a disguise for the ways that they have tried to set me aflame. The biting relief I finally feel from these sore and aching extensions of me will teach me that from now on, I am kindling to no one's fire but my own. That to use fire to cleanse me is to say in the same breath that I am in need of cleansing, and what is more holy than a queer body? In Hinduism, to set a body aflame after its passing is to send it on its way to the new life, a place where only the good things live. To crack the skull and allow the spirit to return to its stomping grounds. The belief that my love is something so rotten it deserves to be burned is to say that this good thing is so pure you do not believe the earth sacred enough to hold it. You have only ever used fire to end a ceremony, to hunt people like me for sport. Make us out to be nothing more than a bundle of sticks to be burned at the stake, but now I have risen from the ashes of every attempt to extinguish me. In the reflection of your very eyes, I see my rebirth, my cremation story turned creation story, and you call your burning of me ritual. Call it tradition, call it anything but its own name. What do you call it when the blood of countless lovers is on your hands? Because you fed a flame with a caustic tongue, I have sent smoke signals to my ancestors every night to no avail. My life is lived by the candlelight to hold a cremation for every elder I never got to meet. A fire will keep burning as long as there is fuel and oxygen. The words I speak and the breath I take is existence.
Thank you so much. Poetry. This is a good week for poetry, right? VERSeFest. Yeah, VERSeFest is amazing. I love it. I love it so. I miss poetry shows, you know. It's just not the same online. So I hope, as I say, I hope you're all clapping at home or clapping to yourselves, clapping in your hearts. You know, we miss the sound of the crowd, but such is life. So as I say, I'm hoping this is it. Like, this is 2 years we've had this event online. Hopefully next year we can get together. We can get together again. Okay. There are of course some in-person events for VERSeFest this year, both in person and online, including one on Sunday, which I'll talk about a little later. Okay, so let's move on to the next poet for the competition. So please welcome in your hearts, Dimorphic.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. This is an old shout out to Capital Slam, the 2009 CFSW Slam champs, Rick and Kevin, and mostly this is for Rusty. I've been caught in a slow motion dream, an awake haze of past days and crazy maze of futures uncertain, falling like a dark and heavy curtain on my creativity time and time again, making it too easy to lower my expectations of life and self and push my muses to the back of a dark and dusty shelf. Motivated by memory, I struggle to break free, but how do I escape the self-willed ego that Ian now asks, who will pick me to cherish in heart and memory today and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow? The easy moving, enthusiastic gears of my early learning years have grown stiff and rusty, and I have searched for an unconventional librarian to give some direction to a section on awakening joy and wonder in the everyday, a resurgence of silliness and childish that will root deep, flourish, and stay within me. And the library I have found is not of computers or paper bound in quiet orderly rows. It is in the hearts and minds of people everywhere and flows in voices best heard with the heart and a soul appreciation for the verbal art of sharing the human experience. I can a connection through recollection of a sister lost. And while I do not know that grief and cost, I can imagine the pain and am reminded again of my own family relations, motivated by a memory of a memory to shed sensory sedations and cherish the now. Shed past scenes, serene and obscene, leaving impressions like the after image of bright lights on the inside of my eyelids, ephemeral physical visual memories of what was but no longer is, and cherish the everyday moments to find love in this. A child's laugh, a cat's purr, a lover's kiss, motivated by hardship and pain of experiences lived in past years that have left their brand on my heart, can be overcome by remembering that love is this and this and this, motivated by memory to remembering new bliss. Come witness this. Someone whirling on the graveyard grass in the moonlight, cradling its partner, a pink plastic flamingo, and a senselessly passionate wild flamingo dancing free as they whisper my name. My spectral neighbors in their sighing, crying subliminally, a lullaby haunting, which is no longer daunting, but a welcome awakening to the subconscious collective consciousness, recollecting connections to all that ever was, is, and shall ever be, setting me free, no longer willing to be bound down under the weight of painful years, toil and fears, bird expectations, applying the memory motivations with determination to never give in, and with effective flexing of soul song and heartstring, I will raise it.
Thank you so much. You get the secret bonus points for appealing to the ego of the host. No, there are no secret bonus points, but there should be. Just throw in a Rusty reference, you get a bonus point. Actually, here's a kind of an in reference for for people who got the references in that poem. Is traditionally for this show, I've started with a poetry quote from various sources. I did Shakespeare one year, I did Romeo one year. I was going to do that this year, and I was going to quote from Brandon Wint's new book from Right Bloody North. Decided the online event doesn't lend itself quite as well to the launching in with the poetry quote, but there you go. We got to hear some of that anyway. Okay, so we are moving on to the next poets. The next poet to the proverbial microphone is Apollo the Child.
All of these Ottawa Anglo-Saxon streets are sweet, but I know there would never be one named after someone like me. Skin too brown, name too ethnic or exotic. I know there would never be one named after someone like me. I don't speak the King's speech. My ex-girlfriend's friend likes to pretend she knows what it's like to be me. Surprised by my brown skin and bushy beard, but lack of accent, she says, I know he was Canadian the moment he started to speak. As if my mother's tongue fumbling awkwardly for words that would never come makes her less. As if my father's thick Middle Eastern accent made him less of a Canadian citizen. When they bled, literally passing tests to become citizens of this country, can you tell me what year Newfoundland joined Canada? Becky, doesn't that technically make them more? How privileged it must be to be born into security while immigrants fight tooth and nail to call this home. How privileged it must be to sing our national anthem freely without acknowledging that our country was built on a pile of broken bones and lost souls. All of these Ottawa Anglo-Saxon streets are sweet, but I know there would never be one named after someone like me. Born into security while my parents fought tooth and nail to call this home. Beaten in Turkey, jailed in Syria. My mother tells me of her cell ceiling and of the urine that leaked, and how she held my older brother as a baby and begged and pleaded to Allah. But Becky seems to think that language is what makes us Canadian. My lack of accent worn as a congressional medal on her chest that reads assimilation literally tells my ex-girlfriend she loves to see the integration of brown bodies, ignoring the hell my parents were facing. But see me, Becky, I'm not an immigrant. I'm a second generation, but I guess to someone like you, that makes me immigrant adjacent. So you can eat our shawarma, our falafel, our hummus, are tabule, and yes, that's tabule, not tabuli. You can smoke our shisha and leave behind the ashes of my father's psychology masters. Welcome to Canada. Now drive these fucking taxis. See me, Becky. I don't ignore the privilege we seem to both hold. To you, bombs over Baghdad was nothing more than another Outcast song you simply skipped because Hey Ya was far more catchy. So Becky, you can catch me on these Ottawa Anglo-Saxon streets, speaking fluently in Queen's speech, leading the youth with the poetry I teach, and you can keep the topic of my brown body, my heritage, my brown skin, my bushy beard, my parents, and our citizenship out of your fucking mouth.
All right, thank you, Apollo the Child. So we're halfway through the first round. It just flies by because the poetry is just so amazing and gets in your ears and your brain and your eyeballs and does all of those wonderful things. So yes, 4 poets through the first round, and I'm just excited to hear the next 4. That's the way it works, you know. There's always another poem, and there's always memories of the poem that came before, because poetry rules, you know. What's better than poetry, as we used to say? More poetry. All right, so we're going to call up the next poet. And the next poet is, I'm getting signals from my scorekeeper, but they're good signals. They're saying, yeah, all the judges are doing their jobs. I knew they will. These are pros. They've all done it before. So our next poet to come up is, I'll say that, come up. You're not actually coming up anywhere. You know, you're not coming up to the stage, but you're coming up in spirit. We'll say that. Next up, Kevin Matthews.
Walt Whitman told me, like indirectly, re-examine all you have been told, dismiss what offends your soul. And I find is more objectionable than acceptable in all I've heard and read. And Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in the world. And that's great. If you're as strong as Gandhi, for me, I think I need to see a little of this change I'm supposed to be. So I've been peeling back the layers of the constructs as presented, simultaneously projecting from the inner sea, the essence of divinity, which is, it turns out, within me and my family and all of you here who inspire me, and thereby reach a place where I can live, not a retreat, but an ascent onto a plane where I can see. And it's hard to describe. I unlearned a lot of vocabulary just to get there, but you should see the place. It has a lot more long-term thinking and less waste, a lot more collectivist conscience and less hapless haste. I put the couch under the window and placed the chairs just so to create a nice little conversation space. And speaking of space, no boot print, nor flag, nor golf ball mars the moon's ethereal face, turning her from a goddess to a mere dusty place. And let alone would we dream of weaponizing space. And peace here, too, is usually the more difficult path, but it's worth it. We visualize peace, write it down, memorize it, and rehearse it, and every performance is closer to, but never quite perfect. And the food is good. And some do hunt and eat meat, but sparingly and rarely as a treat for feeding so many others for which they are paid fairly. And John Lennon said it would be good to have no nations. So instead of using racism and sexism to support squabbles over scarce subsoil resources, we regulate the number of the human population, but there's still room for you to visit if you have the imagination. But this world is all flux and subtlety and continual recreation. It's just collisions and reverse decisions, and it's just too much to tell. You have to see it for yourself. And I could visit yours as well, and join you by your fountain and listen to it wish, whispering for bells to run over and ring as it sinks tinkling into artesian endless spring, which is a nice touch. Wish I'd thought of that myself. A clean water supply, that's Commonwealth. So with the pinball PhD students whom I teach, I live on Backgammon Beach. I get up early for a swim and a slice of carrot cake, and you may call me a flake, but then it won't be you I'm singing to as the moon rises over Grapefruit Gelato Lake, where we gather nori to dry for later and seashells still cradling dew. And what the hell, in this world, I play banjo pretty well too. And in a foggy dell, you, Kermit, and John K. Sampson are waiting with Rainbow Connection sheet music and campfire and bannock bacon. And if I am mistaken, if it's just a dream, this scheme, some nocturnal detour I have taken, I can be patient and wait for the rest of the lovers and the dreamers and the rest of this sleepwalking world to awaken.
All right, thank you so much, Kevin. Yes, this is, I've been waiting for this for weeks. It's so wonderful to see the faces and hear the voices of people I've been separated from, through the pandemic, but through life, the way things go. Though the timing, my dog's timing was perfect. I want you to know, we did just get a big bark, but it was while I was muted, so you didn't get to hear. My dog's addition. Maybe she wants to be a poet. You never know. All right. So next up. Let's invite to the camera space DMP. You ready there, Daniel?
He's
asleep. Okay.
messaging.
Veronica, can you put the camera back to me, please? Oh, there he is. You're up, Daniel. You're still mute. You're still muted, buddy.
This fondness is painful. This homeless stray dog devotion. I've been hiding from you incrementally, not total avoidance. I cower behind the most innocuous of keystrokes. A heart is more than a heart is my heart. This is my misfit mating call, a vague confession to an automated answering service. To declare your undying affection, press 1. 1. We're sorry, that option is unavailable. Please try again. To declare your undying affection, press 1. 1. We're sorry you're having trouble. Please call again. Goodbye. 0. How to be rejected in binary. My words are short and loaded and disguised in lambskin. The truth is I like you beyond the definition of platonic liking, so I've kept my distance, raised the drawbridge, built a moat, closed the gate, barred the doors, shuttered the windows, booby-trapped the walls, and hid under the bed. Anything to keep the love monster away. I don't love this. I don't want to fall in love with you. I'm too broken. If there's a way to fail at loving someone, I've done it. Wily coyote of love, Esquire, but not as resilient. My crash landings are debilitating in ways the cartoons don't show you. So I've tossed my Acme love kit in the trash and lie here pining like a first crush. This friendship has been brief, blinding flashes of affection followed by radio silence. The more I know you, the more I love you. So I dance in the tightrope of know you a little, hence all only love you a little. 1,001 beautiful aches from origami paper cranes, cutting whispers of your name into my flesh like a psychic echo. I like you too much. I want you to stay. The minute I love you, you'll go away. Oh, how I'll miss you. So this is my digital message in origami scarlet. Perhaps you'll see it one day. Perhaps you'll smile wistfully at the possibility it may be about you. Perhaps you'll think kindly of me. If you ask, I will answer. Thank you.
Thank you, DMP. Another poet that's been away from Ottawa that we're glad to have back in the Ottawa region. Yeah. So that's 6 poets through, seven really, because of the SAC poets. 7 poems we've got to hear already tonight. There's still a bunch more, and I am so excited. I just realized that you can just see my desk stuff. Here's an insight into my world. I'm looking at my home computer. If I turn here, it's my work computer, which is why I was able to move out to Spencerville, out to Killdeer Farm, which is our new home, which we love so much. We love so much. I get up in the morning and I sit and I look out the window and I see birds and I see there's deer on our property. I'm so blessed. We are so blessed. I'm so happy to get to be here. Which brings us to the point where there's few things. I've hosted a lot of shows. The hosting is actually not my background. I'm sure you can all tell. I was usually the one keeping the scores while others like Brad ran shows there. But when I did host, there's a word that I have to say. It's just one of those things. So next up is the penultimate poet of the first round. Please welcome to the stage, Textcurious.
With quotes and memories of Anthony Bourdain. 2 weeks ago, a man died and I got waylaid in an airport. Lost it in the taxi dome, kicking up dirt. The Planes Inflate magazine had published an interview. We're both still alive against all odds. I sobbed during takeoff and again in another airport over glasses of wine because I was homesick and maybe because I bled just a little. Tonight, I browse the television and they're remembering his life. In one clip, he muses over the loneliness of dining, sleeping in a beautiful villa, alone. Lack of another fork, plate, all for show. Connection made months later through an upturned glass. Tonight, in my room, I am drinking to avoid not smoking. I am flipping channels to fill the space, to forget that I am lonely. Every night, I am lonely. So I leave. Walk to escape, but everything is closed because this is Fredericton on a Friday night. Where the road ends, something new is being built. No gates or alarms to keep a wanderer out. Empty frames let in the night, and I walk through walls, up staircases without banisters, and on the second floor find wonder. Roof beams let it cut streetlight, grit in the unfinished floor, the dance of work boot footprints under my soft sole shuffle. In this not yet home, I think that my time is too short to be lonely. In the night, everything seems finite and possible. I have this. Outside, it's always the now and the now. What is going home but another blind date, another chore, another night out on the town? What is a hotel but a beautiful kennel? The mind an echo chamber. What is loneliness but beautiful? The poem, a candid confession. 2 weeks ago, a man died and I got waylaid in an airport. When the plane landed, I ran out into the dark.
Thank you so much. As I say, this I can only say it so often, but I'll say it again. This night has been wonderful. To hearing all this poetry that has just been missing. Hearing poems and seeing these wonderful faces and seeing these wonderful artists. Yes. So, unfortunately, there's only one poet left in the first round. Fortunately, we have one more poet. I'm going to reach into the hat and pretend that I don't know what name is on there because, you know, it's one of those things. You have to read it. You have to read it. So, please welcome to the computer screen, Sean O'Gorman.
Is my mic good?
Yes.
I have no idea how I feel about myself, but this need to escape follows me around like a fucking kick me sign. When I left home, I made it far enough to see the flags change. I call myself restless. In truth, I think I just really enjoy a good disappearing act. I've been here for 8 years. It's now the longest I've ever stayed in one place. I've had 25 bedrooms spread across 9 cities and 3 countries. I'm really good at saying goodbye. It's hard to call anywhere home. I wasn't born where my family comes from, and I don't live where my parents will die. I keep distance all around me. I wear silent headphones around strangers in transit. Everyone I meet knows a different thing about me. I hope you never meet each other. But I want to pull the tree line closer. Just to hear the wolves howl in the waves, the coast will crawl into my shadow. The whale songs are going to throw back all those skipping stones that were so perfect. Some asshole felt the need to drown them. I want to reinvent myself. Get better at remembering things. Most memories I only attempt at. Reach forward where the candle suffocating the mountain trails. Reach where my tongue dies telling you the story, because when you struggle with memory, you become less sentimental. I once kept things that reminded me of people. Now I seem to keep things until I forgot who gave them to me. I'm too old not to have an opinion of myself, but I found my haircut on more people than I can count. So many of my own memories come from other people telling me the story. It makes me feel like I've failed somehow. But the way you feel about yourself should at least be one of the hills you're willing to die on. I don't know if I still love myself. I just don't know anymore. But I'm an amazing masturbator. Holy shit, I can switch hands without skipping a beat, but the t-shirts I don't take off first seem to hate me by the time I'm done. I found a card once written in love, and I have no memory of the inside joke it described. Signed with initials I didn't recognize, the name I can't seem to find. What it gave me was a panic, a reminder. There were once cemeteries that are farms now, food growing between the bones of our fat ancestors. It's hard to shake things we grow into. Like feeling I'm just an imposter in my own life story, some look-alike understudy. I need to stop throwing shade at the mirrors every time the lights are on. It's okay not to remember sometimes. Breathe a little easier. My lungs, they still have a crush on the barometer I swallowed in the dark that night. I need to accept that everything is an alarm clock when all you want to do is sleep or not wake anybody up. Some things are just innate. It gives me hope. It's how the blind still share our facial expressions. Life, not so much. This gridlocked Rubik's Cube we're all swimming through only makes sense if you remember the password. That thing I always forget to write down. The name of my first pet. My childhood bully. My mother's maiden name.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all the poets from the second first poet right through all the first round. Hearing this is great. You know, it's funny. The last time I was at a slam was hosting this event a year ago because of the pandemic, and before that, you know, it had been a while since I left spoken word Canada, And yet I can't help it. There's certain points. Now that no one went over. I believe no one went overtime, right? No one went overtime. But there's certain points when during a poem when I just glance over at the clock because I can feel it. You know, you do slam for so long, you know how long a poem's going to be, and you know when you're getting in the danger zone. And
It was 3 minutes exactly.
everyone was good. Well, actually, the last Sean O'Gorman was exactly 3 minutes, which is super amazing. Okay, so what's going to happen now? After hearing this, we've heard enough, right? We can all just turn off our computers. Don't do that, because we're going to hear 4 of these poets come back and do another poem. But before we get there, we get to hear from our feature performer. I almost don't know what to say because I said what I wanted to say at the beginning of the show. I think he's an important voice in Montreal and an important voice in Canada, and the Calmunity Collective is someone that certainly predates my time in spoken word, and I always have been treated for the name treated with respect and honor, and I just can't wait. It's been so long. It's been since I believe 2014 that I've had the opportunity to really sit back and listen. So this is that time. So please sit back and enjoy a feature performance from Jason Blackbird Selman.
All right, you can hear me? Everything's good?
Yep, all good.
Okay, great. First of all, thank you, Rusty, so much for inviting me, for remembering me. It's always good to feel remembered and selected to be here in Ottawa, even virtually. I wish I was there with you, but hopefully next time. And I'm just going to get into it. And I want to say, before I forget, thank you to all the poets who went before me. Great work. Great to hear new voices I've never heard before, and I hope you enjoy. So I'm going to get into it. I don't remember anything. Who I am, where I come from, what smiles sound like, children's laughter, window and mirror, dragon and phoenix, one man, one dream, one breath. As easy as this battle between love and hate, young champions with hearts like sponge roses, skin made from thorns. Talk to me. Tell me, how magical are you really? How solid is your mind? This wave of curiosity, electric, happiness, lightning eyes, both so restless, you and I. Should just come home, live by the river. As impatient as these rivers in my mind, let someone know that you are here, awake in the darkness, giving out clues to the future through your past, destruction being something that is real, a lifelong journey. Compass in the mouth, sunsets riding west. So that poem, it's called Glasper because I wrote it many years ago to an album by jazz pianist Robert Glasper, and it's about Bob Kaufman, who's my favorite poet. So it's talking about his life experience, his struggles with mental health, and wanting to get to know a bit more about him, but also trying to accept the mystery. So if you don't know who Bob Kaufman is, look him up. He's an amazing beat poet. Legend has it that he invented the term beatnik. So he's my favorite. Please check him out. And yes, Glasper is great too. Okay, I'm gonna move forward to the next one. One second, sorry. All right, here we go. 8 things to make a Black man cry. 1, the feeling of helplessness, that nothing will change, no matter how much we resist, protest, push back. 2, the knowledge that you are at death's door, the knee having been on your neck for 8 minutes now. You can see your mother's face as you call her name. 3, the impact of the first bullet as it stings your back, your body, unprepared. 4, the phantom chill that shackles you to your hospital bed 6 shots later. Halftime. I turn on my TV and I see Black bodies overcome. Athletes, champions, tears in their eyes, the masks we wear are coming off. 4 years to the day I write these words, a man takes a knee. So many years later, all major sports leagues have taken pause. Perhaps the world is changing. If not, at least we are. 5, the day I meet a local victim's family. We have so much in common. Where we come from, where I went to school, where we meet, the park where I learned to ride my bike. As I try to console them, I'm at a loss for words. The protest carries on, a poem, my only offering. 6, the pain that comes with every new name, new face, new victim, added to the list. You remember, you mourn, you scream inside. A single tear runs down your face, slowly. 7, the call that tells you that your daughter is dead at the hands of the police, in her sleep, in her home, the wrong home, the right tone to her skin. 8, the moment you decide to talk to someone, a friend, a professional, about all the hell you have lived through in this Black body, when you let go. The dam to your pain is broken. Water floods the nation, water mixed with blood. All right, I'm gonna do a poem that's about a lot of different things, and I wrote it many years ago when I was at the Banff Art Center, and it's a combination of a love poem, a poem about Bob Kaufman again, a poem about hip hop, where it started, and how all these things intersect. And I'm gonna leave it at that for now. Lend me a psychedelic dream. Lend me pieces of daylight. Lend me a destruction sweeter than anything I can remember. Lend me open sounds, a courtyard, Sedgwick Ave. Bury this knowledge in sound, a beat that repeats, a rhythm that has a mind of its own. Let the mind grow. Spread to all 5 boroughs like a virus. Black fire, wildstone, rhythm for talk, speak softly, take over the world. It was so easy to know you. Once I began listening to myself, the verse became free. Psychedelic colors and psychedelic graves, daisies going wild from the barrel of a gun, shoot stars. Love is an idle threat, shouted to the world who is not like I, when delivering themselves to themselves, a glass filled with tears, this venom filled with love. I love her so much because she lets me know that I am fading. What is there to own but hearts? Hearts do all the work. Chain us to betrayal, and on the shadow, set us free, growling at midnight, wanting more, rescue oblivion from me, given the gift of time. Light years with this glance. Ghetto codes and gray days. The search, the sound of sound. Find yourself in flames, evenings on pause, part of something, apart and in part, Open the first door, let yourself in. All right, so next I'm going to do a poem that I was commissioned to do by a friend of mine by the name of Modibo Keita, who was a Montreal trombone player, arranger, future superstar. And I've had the honor of watching him grow up and grow into an amazing musician. And he was commissioned to do a tribute to Marvin Gaye on the anniversary of the What's Going On album, 50th anniversary. And he put together a 12-piece band for Montreal Jazz Fest and asked me to do a piece about Marvin and what's going on, its legacy, and the themes of that amazing album that I love. So that's the backdrop of this piece that is new, but it was an honor to write the piece. And it was amazing to watch someone that you've known since they were 16 go up on stage and just put everything together as an MC, as a musician, as a curator. It was an honor, and this will always be connected to him as well, this piece. So it's called Brotherhood. Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank you for coming out to the Kennedy Center tonight. It means the world to me. It's been a long time, but I'm really happy to be home in Chocolate City. I really hope you enjoy what we have prepared for you this evening. I would like to come home, breathe easy, calm my spirit, let a nightmare fade into memory, build a life for myself from the ashes that surround me. See these flowers in my hand. I use them to sew my heart back together and embroider hope around my spine. There is a song that I am singing. The song is yours. It kept me alive in the jungles of Southeast Asia, in the jungles of my mind, in the jungle of these choices. A gun, a knife, an iron bird, an open hand, all toying with my sanity. I see fire in the fields like the fire in these streets. A single tear betrays me. This libation, a liquid prayer. I'm home now. There is no rifle in my hand, but it feels strange to no longer choose between someone else's life and my own. I'm still here in the grip of the choices I have made. There is no peace. Turmoil remains. Brother, can you help me? My anxiety is flying high. There is God in Marvin's sound. A Holy Spirit to save your own. He used a straight line to the divine while holding his Father's hand to help him tell this story and let the world know what is going on. Brother, I see you. I hear you. I've stepped into the sky, sat in the thunder and the rain, transcribed the turbulence of these times. Such symphonies cannot write themselves. With weathered hands, I bend message into melody. After having read all of your letters, I've answered everyone with song. So I have 2 more planned, and I'm not going to cut them up. I'm just going to go back to back. So this is it for me before I do the 2 pieces. So again, thank you so much for everyone, for your energy, your attention, your contributions as poets to this amazing, what's the word I'm looking for? Family, I guess, of Canadian poetry, which to me has always amazed me. What we're able to do across this country and across this planet in terms of what Canada produces. Just keep up the good work and keep having an original voice. And again, to Rusty, thank you for reaching out, for asking me to do it, for remembering me from so long ago. That's amazing, and I really appreciate it. And I hope to be in Ottawa soon, performing when I can. And I'm gonna just get into the last two, and then that's it. I came home, though I knew I wasn't wanted there, to face the music, to listen to it too, to show my face and to give it value, to pick up the pieces of a shattered crown, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Before I leave this place, I would like everything to be in order with my heart and the hearts of those that I wish to inhabit, to build a legacy on one apology, at last in love with love. If we are crying now, at least we're crying together, young and old, the innocent and those less than so, in a house made home by a reconciliation, a homecoming no one expected. Love. What greater mystery, what silent sensation to haunt this happiness? Bleak evening hours, beauty to bind us, arisen untouched, put a spell on, eyes wide open and interlocking. The measure of a man is kindness. Not every man has the strength to be kind. Not every man has knowledge of kindness. So many handle this world with hot hands, compassion but a shadow, kindness but a crime. How do we know that we are in love? Is it in the heart or in the head? Perhaps it is in what the head and heart say to one another when they agree. One not overwhelming the other, but both being overwhelmed together. Unity. Only in honesty is there kindness. Only in every attempt to show sincerity, I awoke this morning and I remembered you, not with longing, nor with want, with joy, with hope, with laughter, with tears, with love. That's it. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great night, and I'll see you soon, hopefully.
Thank you so much, Jason. I feel blessed that we were able to listen to that and watch that amazing poetry. When I first reached out to Jason after I remembered that moment in Montreal in 2014, he asked if I remembered what the poem was, like which poem I had heard that night. And unfortunately I couldn't, the time, so much time had passed. I instead remembered the feeling, and that feeling came back. Just it's incredible. So now, any of you watching, if you didn't know, now you know. Okay, so if putting on this show has been an absolute wonderful success all around so far, but if anyone goes home going, wow, I heard this new poet, new to me. He's not a new poet, but new to me, then the night is better. But he's not the only one. So maybe there's some other poets tonight you've heard, and suddenly you add a few names to your list of favorites. Sorry, I'm just that set was so good. That was so good. I'm so glad. I wish we could have done it in person, but it's still wonderful in this format, this venue. Now we get to the sad point. I mean, the sad point is when the show's over, but because we go from 8 poets in the first round to 4 poets in the second round, this is the point where I have to tell some poets that we don't get to hear another poem from them, which is worse for everyone. It's not it's worse for them, but it's worse for me. It's worse for everybody who doesn't get to hear these poems. Now, I don't ever get to kind of plug poets when they're competing, because then that would bias the judges. I mean, though we have super pro judges, but still, that's a slam thing. I don't get to, as a host, I don't get to say, I love this one. So I've got the names. I've got 4 names in the hat. I have 4 names not in the hat. In no particular order, I'm going to thank the poets who did not move on, because they were all great. I think we can all agree with that. So the first name just happens to be here. It's not by score order or anything, but Poetiquette will not be moving on. I've been able to watch Poetiquette do her poems for quite a handful of years now. She was very young when she first started. And I think she's going to be a politician one day. She's run, so vote for Poetiquette if she's near running. Anyway, the next step, as I said, someone we're so glad to have back in Ottawa. I say we, like I'm still in Ottawa, but I'm not that far away. I still drive in, I still feel like I'm in Ottawa. But back to Ottawa after being away for a little while. DMP will not be moving on, but thank you so much. It was so great. It was so great to hear you after a while. It's been a handful of years anyway that I've heard. Then speaking of someone I never get to see, and taking advantage of the fact that we're online, Sean O'Gorman is in Korea. So if it wasn't for the fact that this was an online slam, he would not be competing. So we are better for it. So take the pluses with the minuses of this pandemic era. But thank you, Sean. Thank you for, I have no idea what time it is there. I don't even think it's the same day there. It's very far away. Even farther than, or is it farther than Argentina? I'm not sure. We have a judge from Argentina. But again, every judge, every visiting poet has a connection to Ottawa. Sean and I were on a slam team once, and he's been part of the Ottawa scene for quite some time. And I just happened to look. I don't have the scores in front of me, but I gave a peek when Ruth Ann brought him over, and he missed the second round by 0.1, as small as you can miss by to get in the second round. That's Sean O'Gorman. Again, numbers. Who cares about numbers? And then the fourth poet, not to move on, I misspoke a little before. I said I didn't think any poets had time penalties. It turns out that wasn't quite the case. Kevin Matthews went 316, which gave him a 0.5 time penalty, which means, but we're all the better for hearing all 4 of those poets. We're all the better for hearing all 10 poets we heard tonight. But this brings us back to the magic hat. So I have run this show, the VERSeFest Invitational Slam. This is the 6th one. In those 6 years, we have had 6 different champions. This is the 6th one. In the 5 previous years, we had 5 different champions. One person won twice, and then 1 year we had a tie. So we still have 5 champions. It just so happens the 4 names left in the hat, 3 of them are previous winners of this event. And I change people all the time. I don't always invite the same people. So that's quite a feat that we have three previous winners out of 4. So are we going to get a repeat winner? Are we going to get the fourth person to the one name in here that has not won before, has not competed before? So it's back in the hat. So who is going to be the first out for the second round? You know who they are, but we don't know the order, including me. I don't know the order. So please welcome into the second round of the 2021 VERSeFest Invitational Slam, Apollo the Child.
My prison cell is made of gravel and asphalt, pavement and concrete. On these streets of broken dreams, I breathe and I breathe and I breathe and I breathe, fully taking in what I see. From gray sky above to gray stone beneath my feet, I need release. See, my limit doesn't lie in Ottawa public housing, in this house that's overcrowded, 9 bodies, 3 bedrooms. I love my kin though. What is stronger than blood ties, thicker than the debt I drown in. I watch as my bad credit takes form of a beast that's 3-headed, deeply embedded in my bitterness and resentment. I speak this poetry and message to these city officials who will never fully get it. They applaud the poetry. They clap, clap. 4 years ago, my cousin was shot dead, murdered, clap, clap. I wonder what these city officials truly know about that. I sell them this experience, a safe window seat to glimpse into the inner city. They go home feeling woke. I go home with shitty pay, feeling broke, spiritually broke, emotionally broke, financially broke, and yet I still seek hope. So this is to the youth I've mentored who found hope behind a pen, who wrote to make sense of these neighborhoods that were never meant for them. Never forget that you are gold of the highest carat and caliber. I said it. I'm proud of you, of your merit. You are valuable, and never forget that you are beautifully brown. Just as I should never forget that I am beautifully brown. Just as we should never forget that we are beautifully brown. Just as I should never forget that I am nothing more than the product of immigrants who were given a chance to pack their things as they were ousted, that I am Iraqi desert sand, mass graves from my uncle Abbas lays and my ex. Those are new man's tax bracket status in my face, as if I didn't break my back for her every single day. My ex throws her new man's tax bracket status in my face as if I didn't break my back for her in every single way. So today, I hold myself some space to create. Just a broke Arab kid from the south side. Dodger bill collector since I was yay high. Mama Galet, if the numbers are known, then Khalifa do not pick up the phone. These survival tactics engraved in my bones. Survival engraved in my soul. Survival smells like henna, and I carry that shit with me no matter where I go. My baba didn't come here for this. Told lies of a better place to live. Survival looks like working 16 hours to provide for your kids. So I wonder what killed my baba first. Was it the cancer or the day this country broke his spirit? I ask, tears jogging down my face. I ask, how much more can I endure? I ask, but I found hope behind these pen strokes. As I ink out poem after poem after poem after poem, I realize fuck a tax bracket status. My value doesn't lie on numbers on a page. My value lies on the impact of the words that I write on a page. So fuck your tax bracket status. Your numbers can never reduce me.
Thank you so much to Apollo the Child for kicking off the second round. Yeah, so we're just firing right through it. It's hard to believe we're almost done. Yeah. So I'm stalling enough that I'm not affecting the judges. I can say that Apollo Khalifa has been an incredibly important part of the spoken word scene here in Ottawa. He used to run Urban Legends at a time, but he's done so much more since that. And he's out there and making his mark and being important, not just to poets, but to people, because poets are people. We're a special breed. Just kidding. Okay, so let's dig back into the hat. 3 names left. Who is next? Well, who is next? I'll unfold this piece of paper and find out. Please welcome back to the camera, Textcurious.
Unpick the gun, unpick the day, unpick the thought. Replant it in the ground. Let it blossom into something else. A trip to the grocery store, a hug with a stranger who invites you, an afternoon on the floor listening to music. Anything but this. The moment inside the church, the mosque, the school, on these steps, on this street, what the journey here, this court date. And replant the lives, the families, friends, regrow community, grow back faith. A seed sprouts, unfurls as it grows, grows, unfurls, grows, unfurls, blooms. Conditions, soil, water, temperature, sunlight. Conditions we share, climate, geography, speech, air. How we share conditions, interpretation, consequence, absorption, leaching. Sound makes thought, made action, makes, chosen, forever chosen. Not like this light fixture that looks like a flower staring down from the ceiling. Exactly like this light fixture that imitates a flower staring me down. Who bought the fixture? Who set the molding? Who replaces the light bulb when it goes out? When does that change? Every object in this room, on this street, ripples, clicks. What brought you?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's so great to hear these poems. I'm just so excited. When I'm done, I'm going to go into YouTube when the show's over and start finding the poetry of. But this is better. This is better. Well, it's also better for me because I know every one of these people, and I just enjoy hearing from them all the time. So you know, as I say, once past the important point when I'm not affecting the judges anymore, unless I'm mistaken, believe it or not. See, last year, this particular poet was our sacrificial poet for this event. And so I asked them back because that went so well. I worked with her in at ARC. But unless I'm mistaken, this is in fact textcurious' first slam. It's certainly their first slam under that name. But obviously not the first time they've shared poetry, because you know, you can just tell. Anyway, I'm going to reach back into the hat to find the penultimate performance of the evening. Well, at least on this show, because I'm sure you can also go and do poems in your living rooms and keep it going. So please welcome back to the computer screen, Dimorphic.
Foreigners. I feel sad for all those who live their lives, not for today, but what comes after, heaven or hell or who knows, as detached from everything else in death as in life, buried in boxes sealed tight against the depredations of worms and the like, or cremated by the energy of life past to belch black clouds to the sky and give ashes is only good for a caustic lie, robbing the earth of even that last little bit we have to give back after everything we have taken throughout our lives. I am content with just death. I am not impressed by angels or demons. I'd have too much to say to God and no interest in his pearly gates. And I've already stolen fire and brimstone from the devil's hand. So I am content with just death. like this. Lay me to rest in a flower bed. My meat mass a stage for maggots to dance upon until they fall down drunk and pupate to wake all blue bottle and sexton beetle flying drunkenly into spiders' webs and baby birds' maws. I want my bones to mingle with roots. Let the juice of my decay soak into the earth to be sucked up by giant maple trees. My energetic elements exhaled by leaves to recharge starry skies and fireflies, while the molecules of my matter flow in sap sun-kissed to sugar tap to make syrup to sweeten your pancakes with. Let me be your breakfast. Holy communion, the way it was always meant to be. We've always had immortality. Energy just changes form and atoms are recycled indefinitely. Let the vultures and beetles eat my body. I become them. They're shit fertilizing grass and flower and tree, and I become them. As I become the deer and rabbit, wolf and hawk, and all actions and experiences caught in the energy relays of their synapses, I am content with just death. Like this, I will be the tall, stark trees reaching bare branches to the moon on cold winter nights. Soft spring rain knocking softly at your window pane, inviting you to come out and play. The spider and dew-jeweled webs and the firefly lighting your way on a warm summer's eve. I will be the spray of ocean, the tears from your cheek and leaving my own taste of salt on your lips like a kiss. I will be the sun and the moon and the stars, but most of all, I will be the sap sun kissed to sugar and tap for maple syrup to sweeten your pancakes with. I will be your breakfast, and then I will be you, and you will be me, and there will only be we forever. So yes, I'm content with just death like this.
Thank you so much, Dimorphic. This entire night has been, well, you know, I know I'm repeating myself, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Yeah, so Dimorphic is one of the cornerstones, one of the pillars of the Lanark County poetry scene. They're the only rural community to ever send a team to the National Slam Championships, and they did multiple times. And I believe Dimorphic was on every one of those, or close to every one of those teams. Yeah, you can see from the chat what's going on there, and yeah, it's really, really moving. Yeah. Anyway, one more poet to finish up the night. So please welcome back for one last time. As I say, I always pull out of the hat, I look at it even though I know who the name is. Please welcome back Namitha.
Politically correct responses to catcalls. When he tells you to smile, remind him it takes more muscles to frown than smile, and you're trying to get fucking ripped. When he asks you to shake what your mama gave you, say, hell yeah, boo. I'll put on some Drake and I'll shake that intergenerational trauma that I inherited but will never fully understand. I'll drop that thing low like my personal aspirations that I put aside to prioritize those of the men in my life. When he calls you princess, remind him if you were given $1 for every time you were called that, maybe you could actually live like one. When he calls you baby, explain to him the irony of him calling you that while he still relies on his mom to do everything for him because he's not nearly mature enough to verbalize his own needs and is overall unable to deal with his own shit. Or embody the title baby and projectile vomit all over him. When he asks you how much, let him know he could never afford it. When he revs his car engine at you, let it slide. Remind yourself that this is likely the only drive he has for life. When he tells you to let him take you out, flip the script. Tell him you'll take him out. Every other Thursday, because I'm pretty sure Garbage Day is on a bi-weekly schedule. When he asks you what your sign is, tell him it's star. Better yet, tell him it's sharp curve ahead. When he asks you if he thinks you can handle all this, say, could I handle someone whose macho hypermasculinity is obviously a cover for being terrifyingly insecure about his own intelligence? You're right, I probably couldn't handle that. When he tells you he'd tap that, let him know you wouldn't even double tap that. When he asks you where you're going, say school. Remind him that unlike him, you've got class. The only person turned on by his lack of class is probably like Karl Marx. And when he asks you if you're Indian, say, nah, I'm Sri Lankan, so call me Sri Lanka, because I will never be India.
Thank you, Namitha. Yes, well, wow, so much amazing, so much emotion, so much humor, so much like across this entire night. There's nothing beats poetry. Poetry is the world. Poetry is everything. Yes. So Namitha, I mentioned earlier that that Apollo the Child used to run Urban Legends. Well, Namitha also used to run Urban Legends, and also is the other person that we could only have for this event because we're online, because they are no longer in Ottawa, which is Ottawa's loss. You know, that's the way it goes. So while the scores are being tabulated, I do want to mention upcoming. You know, we're in the middle of VERSeFest, the festival. I do want to talk about a show coming up on Sunday. On Sunday, there is some years ago, I had the the opportunity to start the Verse Ottawa Hall of Honor. As I mentioned earlier, Danielle Gregoire, one of our judges tonight, is a previous inductee into the hall. And they induct someone new every 2 years and someone new is being inducted on Sunday. And I'm not going to say who, because we're going to leave that reveal for the show. The show is at the Knox on Elgin at 7 o'clock on Sunday, but it's also going to be streamed live. So if you want to watch it that way, you can do that as well. The person being inducted asked for some people to come and perform at the show, and so you're going to see some amazing poems, because former Governor General award-winning poet Phil Hall is going to perform. Also, Monty Reed, who is the director of VERSeFest, is going to perform. David O'Meara, amazingly talented poet in Ottawa. I'm sure if you haven't heard that name, once again, you should know that name, because he's incredible. Is going to perform. Kevin Matthews, who you heard tonight, is going to perform in that show, and I am going to perform. I was invited as well, and we're going to honor someone who very much deserves honoring. So consider coming out to that, or watching it online if that suits you better. But in the meantime, Ruth Ann has handed me the score sheet. I haven't looked at it yet. Wow. We had another tie. However, this time it's not a tie for first. So let's at a combined score. Now, keep in mind this is for both rounds. So the score is out of 60. So I want everyone to show respect, in the chat or in your hearts, for Textcurious, who got 55.1 out of 60 for those two poems for their first time slamming, which is absolutely incredible. That's amazing. Then we have a tie. As I said, all the other people in the second round have won this before. So one of the two winners from last year, Dimorphic, and the only person to win this event twice, Apollo the Child, tied with a combined score of 55.7 out of 60, which is incredible. So congratulations to both Dimorphic and Apollo, which leaves only one name left. So the other person who tied last year, who now is the winner of the VERSeFest Invitational Slam for 2021. Give it up for Namitha with a 56.3. let's get Namitha back on the camera. Yay!
Thank you very much. Happy to share space with poets. I feel like this is still such a rarity.
Well, I'm so glad. You know, as I say, coming up to this event, I was hoping we could do it live, and then as soon as you told me that you could only do it if it was online, I hadn't realized you had moved. Then I'm like, oh well, I guess we're online, so we get to still have to meet them. So we are the lucky ones. So thank you so much for taking part.
Of course. Thank you, Rusty, and thank you, everyone. It's been a blast.
I always invite the winner for the next choice. You have to move back. I'm just saying, you know. Anyway, so I would like to thank everybody, all the poets, absolutely from Manahil as the SAC poet, right to Namitha as our winner, and of course Jason Blackbird Selman for that incredible feature. I would like to thank all our judges again. I would like to thank Ruth Ann, who was helping. She was doing the scores and the timekeeping. And I want to thank VERSeFest. You know, Veronica, who was. You might not have heard that name yet. Veronica was taking care of the technical side of Zoom for us on the show, and Avonlea and Monty and all the people at VERSeFest. So yeah, another year, another slam. So enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of the festival, and I hope to see some of your smiling faces on Sunday. So thank you all.